The whole of like ancient Egypt and the Sahara Desert in general just doesn't make sense to me, because when you look at the Sahara Desert and the fact that it was green for 9,000 years and then it stopped being green.
Beneath the endless golden waves of the Sahara lies a world few people imagine. To most of us, the Sahara is only heat, silence, and rolling sand dunes stretching forever. But under those burning sands, there are hidden rivers, ancient cities, mysterious fossils, and secrets buried for thousands of years. Scientists have discovered that this desert was once green and full of life. What other impossible worlds could still be sleeping below the surface, waiting to be uncovered? Join us in this video as we journey beneath the sand and discover the truth. Number 7. The Eye That Watched from the Sand. In 1965, astronauts aboard Gemini 4 were flying high above Africa. Their mission was simple: photograph the surface of Earth. But when they passed over Mauritania, something below made them stop and stare. In the middle of a vast, empty plateau, a giant eye looked back at them. This was no trick of light. Deep in the sands of the Sahara, perfectly shaped rings formed a massive circle. From space, it looked like a target carved into the planet itself. For centuries, people had walked along these ridges. They thought they were just strange mountains rising from the desert floor. But from orbit, the truth looked very different. The circles were too neat, too balanced, too exact to feel random. When the images were released, excitement spread quickly. Many people believed this was proof of something lost to history. Some whispered one name: Atlantis. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato once described Atlantis as a powerful city built in rings, 3 rings of water and 2 rings of land. He wrote of mountains to the north and a wide plain stretching south. When researchers compared his words to satellite images of the Rishat structure, also called the Eye of the Sahara, the similarities felt eerie. Even the size seemed close when ancient measurements were converted into modern kilometers. The internet exploded with theories. Some claimed it was the scar of an ancient nuclear blast. Others imagined alien ships landing there long ago, their marks frozen in stone. For a moment, it felt as if history itself was about to change. But then the geologists arrived with their tools and quiet patience. They studied the rocks, measured the layers, and uncovered a different story. The Eye was not a lost city. It was a geological dome. Millions of years ago, molten rock pushed upward beneath the surface, swelling the ground like a rising bubble. The magma cooled before it could erupt. Over vast stretches of time, wind and water slowly wore the dome down. Hard rock stayed standing in ridges. Softer rock faded away into valleys. Layer by layer, erosion carved out the rings we see today. It is not a city built by gods. It is Earth's crust that opened like a history book. Yet even knowing this, standing in the center of that giant eye can send a chill through you. And if this eye was only stone, the next discovery beneath the sand would make scientists question whether they were still in a desert at all. Keep watching to find out more. Number 6. A stone older than Earth's memory. Deep in the sands of the Sahara, scientists found something that did not belong in this world. It looked like an ordinary dark rock resting quietly among dunes and dust. But this stone had traveled across space for billions of years before landing here. It was later named Erg-Chech 002, or simply EC002. At first, researchers knew it was special, but they did not expect just how special. Tests revealed that this meteorite contains the oldest volcanic rock ever discovered. It is more than 2 million years older than any other known meteorite of its kind. The rock inside it formed about 4.6 billion years ago, near the very beginning of our solar system. That means this stone is almost as old as the Sun itself. What makes EC002 even more unusual is its composition. Most meteorites are made of basalt, a dark volcanic rock also common on Earth and the Moon. But EC002 is made of andesite, a much rarer type of volcanic rock. On Earth, andesite usually forms in subduction zones, places where one tectonic plate slides beneath another. Finding andesite in a meteorite was shocking. It is suggested that this rock once belonged to the crust of an ancient protoplanet, a young world that was forming in the early solar system but never survived. Scientists believe that, long ago, this protoplanet had active volcanoes. Magma rose to its surface and slowly cooled. The magma inside EC002 took at least 100,000 years to cool and harden after melting. That slow cooling process created the crystals and chemical patterns that researchers see today. Then, something violent happened. A massive collision likely shattered the young world, sending fragments like EC002 drifting through space. Over billions of years, most pieces of those early worlds either joined together to form planets or were destroyed in cosmic crashes. That is why rocks like this are so rare. EC002 is a survivor from a time when the solar system was still chaotic and young. This single stone gives scientists a rare window into the past. By studying it, they can better understand how planets like Earth were built from dust, fire, and collisions. Hidden in the silent desert, this space rock carries a memory older than our planet itself. So, what else was found under the sands of the Sahara? Let's find out. Number 5. Graves beneath a green Sahara. In the heart of the Sahara, where today there is only heat and endless sand, an astonishing discovery was made. This empty land was once alive. It held lakes, rivers, and grasslands. And hidden beneath its surface lay a vast burial ground, the resting place of some of our earliest ancestors. The discovery happened when a team of paleontologists, led by Paul Sereno, arrived in the desert. Sereno was already famous for hunting dinosaurs, but this time he was searching for something different. While exploring the remote dunes, his team began uncovering bones. At first, they thought they had found animal remains, but as they kept digging, they realized they had uncovered something far more powerful. Nearly 200 human graves dating back as far as 10,000 years. This burial ground is now considered the largest of its kind in the Sahara. It offers a rare window into a time when this desert was green and full of life. Back then, large lakes covered the region. Giant perch, nearly 6 feet long, swam in fresh water. The land supported animals, fish, and thriving human communities. As Sereno's team carefully studied the graves, they found more than skeletons. There were pieces of pottery, fish hooks, stone tools, and beautifully shaped harpoons made from animal bones. These objects told the story of skilled hunters and fishers who depended on the lakes around them. Among the buried were people known as the Kiphians, a tall, strong group who lived here between 10,000 and 8,000 years ago. Their lives were shaped by water, but then the climate changed. A severe drought lasting nearly 1,000 years dried up the lakes and turned the land harsh and empty. The Kiphians disappeared. Yet the story did not end there. The desert slowly became green again. A new group, called the Tenarians, settled in the region. They were known for their unique pottery and different burial customs. They lived here until about 5,000 years ago, when the climate shifted once more, and the Sahara began its final transformation into the desert we know today. These graves are more than ancient bones in the sand. They are reminders that the earth is always changing. The Sahara was not always a desert, and its hidden past still whispers beneath the dunes. From buried human bones to buried objects that have been missing since 1942. What could it be? Stay tuned to find out. Number 4. The Lost Fighter in the Desert. Decades have passed since the North African campaign of World War II, but the desert still keeps its secrets. In May 2012, a Polish oil worker discovered in the harsh sands of Egypt that brought one of those secrets back to life. Resting alone under the burning sun was the wreck of a Curtiss P-40 Kitty Hawk fighter plane. The aircraft, built in America, likely served with the Royal Air Force under the US Lend-Lease program. It is believed to have been lost on June the 28th, 1942, when Flight Sergeant Dennis Copping was forced to make an emergency landing deep in the Sahara. At that time, the war in North Africa was at its peak. German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel and his Panzer Army were pushing hard against British forces. Throughout the spring and summer of 1942, the British Eighth Army was driven back toward Egypt. The fighting was fierce and uncertain, but by October, under General Bernard Montgomery, British forces struck back and won a decisive victory at the Second Battle of El Alamein, a major turning point in the war. Copping, however, never reached the front lines. Military historian Andy Saunders explained that the 24-year-old pilot likely became disoriented during his flight. Despite another pilot trying to guide him, he flew in the wrong direction. Running out of fuel, he crash-landed in the desert. The aircraft was damaged, but the cockpit remained mostly intact. Evidence at the site suggested that Copping survived the landing. His parachute appeared to have been used as shade beside the plane. But the Sahara is merciless. With extreme heat and no water, survival is almost impossible. 70 years later, the fighter plane still stood in the sand, remarkably preserved by the desert air. It remains a silent, haunting reminder of one young pilot's final battle, not against an enemy, but against the endless desert itself. Number 3. Lost Pyramids of the Desert. The Sahara stretches across many countries, and hidden within its vast sands lie pyramids that not everyone knows about. Among the most remarkable are the pyramids at Meroe in Sudan. When these pyramids were uncovered, they stunned the world. Some experts even call them among the most beautiful pyramids ever found. It's easy to assume the Egyptians built all the pyramids in Africa, but here a different story unfolds. These structures were created by the Kingdom of Kush, once a wealthy and powerful empire south of Egypt. Unlike the massive pyramids of Giza, the Kushite pyramids were smaller, made in the Nubian style. They had narrow bases and steep sides, standing between 6 and 30 meters tall. Despite their smaller size, they were carefully crafted from granite and sandstone, reflecting the Kushite builders' skill and ambition. The desert itself helped preserve these pyramids for centuries. Harsh winds and shifting sands buried them slowly, keeping the structures safe from human interference. For generations, only local people knew the pyramids' hidden locations. They guarded these treasures, waiting for the right time for archaeologists to reveal them to the world. When archaeologists finally excavated the sites, it was a major historical discovery. Buried under layers of sand, the pyramids had survived remarkably well. Today, they are not only a testament to the Kingdom of Kush's ingenuity, but also a popular tourist attraction. Visitors can marvel at the perfectly preserved structures and imagine the lives of the people who once ruled this land. These lost pyramids remind us how much history can hide beneath the sands of the Sahara. Buried for centuries, they are now brought back into the light, offering a glimpse of ancient civilizations that shaped the region long before modern times. Hidden pyramids hint at deeper secrets. What else was buried? Keep watching to find out. Number 2. Castles buried in the sands. Deep in the Sahara, archaeologists have uncovered something that feels straight out of a storybook. Real-life castles. These aren't ruins from medieval Europe, but ancient fortress settlements built by a mysterious civilization known as the Garamantes. Recent satellite images revealed over 100 fortified communities scattered across southwest Libya. These settlements date from roughly 81 to 500 AD and belong to an advanced society that ruled the region from the 2nd century BC to the 7th century AD. The fortresses were carefully constructed and show a level of planning and organization that surprised historians. The discovery relied on modern technology. Researchers studied high-resolution satellite pictures, including those originally used by the oil industry, alongside older aerial photographs from 2011. Number 1. Sea monsters beneath the sand. In Egypt, about 150 kilometers from Cairo, lies a place that feels like the end of the world. It is called Wadi al-Hitan, the Valley of the Whales. the land looks broken and silent. Sand stretches in every direction. Dark rocks burn under a cruel sun. The wind moves through the desert with a long, lonely sound, almost like crying. The temperature climbs to 45 degrees Celsius, and there is no shade to hide in. At first, it feels like a place where nothing could ever live. As you walk across the hot ground, your foot hits something smooth and hard. It doesn't look special, just another pale stone pushing out of the sand. But when you brush the dust away, you notice its shape. It is curved. Long, too perfect. What rises from the earth is not rock. It is a spine, massive and solid, as thick as a tree trunk. You keep digging, centimeter by centimeter. Then a skull appears. A long jaw, sharp teeth. For a moment, you might think it belongs to a dinosaur, but it does not. It is a whale, and it is not alone. Climb a nearby dune and look down. Scattered across the desert floor lie hundreds of giant skeletons. Whales are resting in one of the driest deserts on Earth. The sight feels unreal, like a painting by Salvador Dali, sea creatures frozen in golden waves of sand. When European explorers first saw these bones in the 19th century, they were shocked. For generations, local Bedouins had avoided this valley. They believed it was cursed. Old stories spoke of jinns and monsters turned to stone as punishment. Others claimed it was proof of a great flood, that the ocean once covered this land and left the whales behind when the waters pulled back. But science told a deeper story. These were not modern whales. They were Basilosaurus, ancient sea predators that ruled the oceans 40 million years ago. Basilosaurus was no gentle giant. It could grow up to 18 meters long, as tall as a 6-story building. Its body was long and snake-like, moving through the water like a giant eel. Its mouth was filled with sharp teeth, strong enough to crush bone. Fossils show that it hunted sharks and large turtles. It was a true ruler of the sea. Yet the most shocking discovery was small, tiny hind legs attached to its massive body. Real legs, with knees, ankles, and even toes. They were too weak for walking, but they proved something incredible. Whales were once land animals, distant relatives of wolves or hyenas that slowly returned to the sea. In this burning desert, the sands preserved one of the most powerful chapters in the story of life on Earth. From oceans to deserts, could the Sahara hide even more? Let's find out. Secrets beneath the sands. The Sahara is enormous, stretching 4,800 kilometers from west to east and 800 to 1,200 kilometers from north to south. It covers about 30% of the African continent. Its total area is roughly 8.6 million square kilometers, larger than Brazil. Many people think the Sahara is nothing but sand makes up only about 20% of its surface. These areas reveal rolling dunes, some reaching an average of 150 meters thick, with ridges soaring up to 300 meters. Most of the desert, however, is made of rocks and cliffs. Beneath these stones lie hidden wonders waiting to be uncovered. Long ago, scientists suggested that the Sahara was once not a barren desert, but a green, blooming paradise. Until recently, evidence was scarce. Then, geologists discovered something extraordinary beneath the sands. A huge ancient lake, or Paleo Lake, formed around 250,000 years ago. It emerged when the Nile broke through a low channel near the modern area of Wadi Toshka. At its height, this lake covered over 108,000 square kilometers, 4 times the size of Lake Erie and twice the size of Lake Michigan. A smaller lake, about 48,000 square kilometers, formed nearby. These discoveries came in 2010, when Ted Maxwell, a geologist from the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, and his team studied radar data from space shuttle missions. By analyzing sediment patterns and underlying rock layers, they were able to map the lake's contours. Fossil fish were found 400 kilometers west of the Nile at 250 meters above sea level, marking the lake's highest shoreline. The model also suggested that Paleolithic humans settled near Selima and Tarfawi, taking advantage of the fertile lakeside environment. The lake persisted for thousands of years, supporting rich flora and fauna, but it was doomed. Water evaporated faster than it could be replenished, and eventually the lake dried, leaving its bed buried beneath sand. Even after the water disappeared, life in the region adapted and continued to flourish. Studies show that at least 5,000 years ago, the Sahara was lush and full of life. In 2015, scientists gained even more insight. Researchers discovered the traces of a massive ancient river, now called the Taman Rassit River. Flowing from the south of the Atlas and Ahaggar Mountains in modern Algeria into the Atlantic Ocean near Mauritania, the river spans over 500 kilometers. Its network of tributaries made the Sahara a green paradise for thousands of years. Scientists estimate the river may have appeared and disappeared over the past 245,000 years, coinciding with the ancient lake. Even today, remnants of this watery past survive. Hidden currents and underground reservoirs feed the famous Saharan oases. Beneath the arid sands, the desert keeps its secrets, a reminder that the Sahara was once a land of water, life, and extraordinary landscapes. So, what are your thoughts about these things discovered beneath the sands of the Sahara? Let us know in the comments section below. Impossible World. Under the Sands of the Sahara reveals how time, nature, and human curiosity collide. What once seemed lifeless now tells stories of oceans, rivers, and civilizations lost to the desert. If this changed how you see the Sahara, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and uncover the next hidden world with us.